Welcome to Stay Paid, your number one sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals, keep more clients, and build the life of freedom you are working for, but that can only happen if you're willing to take action today. My name is Josh Dyke, Chief Marketing Officer here at Reminder Media, and as always, I'm joined by Luke Acree, President of Reminder Media, and from the Acree Brothers Realty team, founder and team lead Stephen Acree, and Director of Sales Cody Smith. And our guest today is Matt Curcio, a powerhouse in New Jersey real estate with a career spanning over 2 decades. After building a top 5 real estate team for ReMax and earning a spot in the ReMax Hall of Fame, Matt went on to become the state's first Icon Award recipient with EXP, and then opened the first real broker office in New Jersey. And as we heard right before we got on the podcast, hit 900 now in his downline there at Real. Matt, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we get to celebrate today, and we actually have a nice real broker happy hour later on, so it's going to be an exciting day.
Awesome, dude.
Congrats on that, man. I don't think there's very many. I mean, how many people do you think have done that in the company, hit 900?
I don't know. Several of us that are part of the Growth Ambassador group, we kind of have the most influence and bigger networks. That's who, same thing with other companies, helps with growth and attraction at the company.
That's what I want to pick your brain about is the idea of, networking, building a downline. We've been curious about it with Acree Brothers and how do you do it? How do you do it well? I had the privilege to speak at 2 of your events that you threw, and they were fantastic. I was very impressed. You had a bunch of agents in the room both times, and it was back-to-back days, one event in Philly, one in Jersey, and you got great speakers to come in, shout out to myself, but no, you got great speakers and not just me, people like Sky, who we've had on the show, came in and stuff. He was fantastic. But what I kept hearing at the event was people were like, yeah, I love Matt. He does an incredible job at selling and delivering value without selling. And I was like, wow, that is impressive. That is what you want. You want people to know that you are selling, meaning you want them to know that, hey, I would love to help you. If I can help you, I'd love for you to join me, but they don't feel like you're selling them. And that's just incredible. Can you talk a little bit about your journey of trying to do it at EXP? It feels like successfully. And then now you went over to Real and just have killed it. What has enabled you to recruit agents at a high level like you have?
So, I'll start by being a team leader, right? When I switched from solo to team leader, I switched for leverage, right? Because I actually broke my collarbone playing sports and went into my office the next day, and my assistant and I had gotten a lock change order or something. So I'm changing a lock with one arm and the other one in a sling. And I'm like, if I broke my leg last night, my kids aren't eating in 3 months, So then I built my team. I learned how to, recruit to that. Right. So, and that's where you're just providing a better service and a better lifestyle for agents who can't figure it out or just need assistance on a daily basis. So fast forward a couple of years, we built a great team in Jersey. And then I was looking for more opportunity, right? So as I'm trying to build team members, I knew the recruiting game to the team. And then when we all, my mastermind was Kinder Reese. That's who I kind of mapped my team after. Okay. So, there was a large group of us that kind of plugged into EXP. And then, things that they were great at is finding the best people in the space. And that space, while we look at it as a brokerage, it's in all of these companies now, Keller Williams, Exit Realty, EXP, and now Real, there's an MLM behind the scenes, 100%. But it's not an MLM where you're putting toilet paper on a monthly, recurring order, and that's your payment, right?
Are you comparing real estate agents to toilet paper? Is that the comparison right now?
I've heard it before.
Hey man, during COVID, toilet paper became very valuable. So I don't care what you guys say, no.
Those guys at Amway probably killed it during COVID.
But every great company is a pyramid. Every great organization is a pyramid. It's called a hierarchy for a reason. It's supposed to be that way. But so behind the scenes, right? It's an MLM. It's the agent. You're trying to recruit and attract talent, retain talent. So how did it like what translated and what didn't translate from trying to recruit for the team to recruiting a downline?
So back to the MLM thing, there's guys that are experts at it, right? So there's books by a guy named Eric Warray. It's called GoPro. Another guy, Brian Carruthers, he's Legal Shield, and they kill it in that space. So right away, we started reading and learning from them on how to, grow a network, help your network grow, show them the opportunity. And, what I've evolved to is, instead of doing any sort of attraction based stuff and then flipping the script and saying something like, hey, we're awesome, right? Yeah, there's a way you can get in business with us. Well, give me 5 minutes of your time and let me talk to you about this brokerage. So instead of doing that, now we just drop tons of value and they want to be around. Right. And if you teach people to get in the right rooms to help their businesses grow, proximity is power, and, people will seek you out.
So do you have like an individual platform for like coaching to provide that value? Like where is the value proposition there? So you're educating people who want to be a part of your world. Maybe you get them into masterminds and all that good stuff, but like, what are the specific things?
So I have, my sponsor and one of my mentors at Real is Colton Lindsay. He's got a big coaching platform. I know most of the coaches around the country. So I do some coaching. I'll do one-on-one coaching, but I'm not growing that. I'm growing, helping grow Real right now. And, yes, there is an opportunity for people to coach with me at these, but I'm just dropping tons of value, and people ask how to get in our world.
I'm picking up more, Stephen, that it is who you're around, because I think of you personally, like you were going to leave Keller Williams. I hope they yeah. You were going to leave, right? And then Steve's like, wait a second, what are you talking about? Tina's going to listen. What? No. But you were going to leave, but then Gary Keller, you got invited to that. I forget, Gary Keller's like top 50 people coming in or something like that or whatever. And I remember talking to you, and it's like just you being able to be next to those people on that level kept you. And that's what I'm reading from you, Matt, is that you're essentially giving access to both content and, almost more importantly, people, proximity to power. And that is what you have found draws people in. Am I reading that right? Yeah.
Yep. And the great thing is it draws the people that I want to be in business with now. Instead of, when I was leading a team and, that was my sole focus, you're pushing people up a hill, right? Mm-hmm. And you're dragging them too, saying, follow me, look at what I do. But the neater part about this model is today I have an agent that's hustling, and then they call me and say, Matt, I'm here. How do I get to here? And I lay it out for them. Then they go do that, instead of like the team where it's like, come in and make your calls, and they go deaf to it after a month. So
that you just explained Cody's whole calendar. That's literally his calendar all day. Come in and make your calls. Come in and make your calls.
Training 3 new hires right now, and it's like that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So basically, because every call I've been on from a recruiter from EXP and Real, the way it goes is a lower level agent that's really not producing, will reach out to me and it's like, hey, you got to check out Real. Hey, you got to check out EXP. Well, then they get me on the Zoom call with a guy named Matt, Curcio. And then Matt's like, hey, I've got a guy, that you need to get on a Zoom call with as well. Like, is that the approach? Like, you're just like literally going, you need to get with Matt, Matt's crushing it. And then Matt's like, well, dude, you take to the next level too. I've got a guy, that I've networked with that's upper level that does coaching and all that good stuff. Is that like the sales process of it? I'm always curious because it's never worked for me. Like when I hear the pitch, it doesn't feel right, but you've recruited 900 agents. So I'm like, okay, how did you do that?
Well, first, I guess you haven't been on the phone with me, but
let's go.
It's honestly, it's you. People don't receive information when it's being thrown up at them, right? So number one, the mind gates have to be open. Right. If you're on a call just to like listen a little bit, I'll probably figure that out and just be like, what do you want? Why are we here? And agents join for different reasons. Some people, revenue share is attractive. Some people couldn't care. More than 80% of all these revenue share models don't collect $1 in revenue share at all.
Crazy. I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's only
makes
between
sense,
12,
I guess, but
12 and 15% of the company earn a revenue share dollar.
Wow.
So I'm not going to speak to that unless that's part of your model, right? What are you doing? Are you selling real estate? Are you building your team? Are you growing a network? What do you want to see? Do you want to see multiple streams of income? We'll show you and talk through what having coaching clients would do to your business, along with a network, along with your team, and some passive income from all those opportunities. And then things like stock, that are real opportunities where you look back and, I have a friend that just joined us and, I've been in discussions for several years. We were discussions when I was EXP, then Real. And, the last 2 years, I was like, man, you're kind of missing out. I got a couple agents with 6 figures of stock right now, and all they did was produce at a high level. They're not focused on the network. And who wouldn't like that, right? So
have you found, so get in kind of like the activity side of it. So you throw events, right? I was part of 2 events that you had thrown, and there was no selling of recruitment or anything like that. It was pure value, man. It was good value. How many events will you do a year? Just a couple like that? Or is that like your main staple, ton of events?
So being, my evolving in the real estate industry, I got good at ReMax early on, like in year and a half, I was kind of propelled by a sales course. And then I had to get out of New Jersey to go find people. Like I was doing 40 sales and I'm like, who's doing 60 or 80 or more? There was only like 3 people in my market. They're not going to share. So then I go out and find people that are doing that at my annual conferences. And then I get into coaching and all that stuff. So it started as kind of a give back locally, right? Where it's like, hey, we're doing good. Let me share this information. And we would put on some events. And then, it's now evolved to, hey, I'm doing this. I can help, it doesn't cost me much to do it. Sometimes it does, cost me a little bit, but I'm okay with that, right? Because it puts people in proximity with each other. And I love doing it in South Jersey because it helps the whole community. You were at the one in Cherry Hill where we have Nikki Shah, who the ending comment from him was, we all have to get along. And if we can get realtors to stop being jerks to each other, you get so much more real estate sold, and it'd be such a nicer world in the, in the sales world where we compete with each other. And we've run a couple happy hours for different board of realtors. And that evolved from just a few top producers getting together once in a while and, buying our own food. And then I was like, let me organize this stuff. And every time we remind them, hey guys, this is where you break bread with your co-ops and the reason behind it. And we run it with different brokerages, and we have a clear no recruiting, because I'm not going to bring my agents if Berkshire starts recruiting, and Berkshire is not going to bring theirs to our events either. So, at the end of the day, we tell them, like, talk to your co-ops. It'll be better when you come back and put an offer in, Yeah.
So it's been built off of networking. So it's like, I'm just, thinking out loud for, myself and the audience and stuff, and going, okay, Steven, you want to get into building a downline. Like step number 1 is, how do you build networking events, masterminds to give value, no taking, it's purely giving value. Then, like, Matt, what are some of the other activities? Do you find yourself doing outreach to a bunch of agents, weekly, monthly? And do you have any form of cadence or outreach from a marketing standpoint to help you with your downline?
So I try to help them produce by doing these events, right? Because, agents getting trained is only going to help them sell more. And I tell everybody, revenue share doesn't exist if nobody's closing houses. So you can have a big, 100 people with you, but if they're not selling houses, it doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
So you got to train, you got to help them, right? And you got to, you're not their team leader too, right? So you're not going to hold them accountable and say, go make your calls. You're just going to say, hey guys, here's the resources from the company. If I can ever help, let me know. If you ever get stuck or have an issue. I'm not really outbound. So we're kind of attraction based where we're not really using softwares or anything like that. We don't have any offers to give at our company. Other companies allow that where it's like, hey, if you join me, you can have all this stuff. So I'd say it's more just delivering value, and then people want to get around you a little bit more and
but
more.
But is that value only delivered through events?
I mean,
through events and maybe like personal outreach from an agent that comes to you and goes, hey, Matt, can you help me with this? But you don't have like an email drip going once a month to this agent list. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm assuming you run a big team, Matt?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No. Do you run a team at all?
I just have a couple agents. If somebody needs local mentorship, like I'll put them on my team for 6 months. See what, my goal is to get them to grow up and grow off. I have a couple of my one buddy that's on my team. He's like, I'm never leaving your team. Like I'm paying you forever.
And you're like, God, please go, get out of here.
Yeah. But yeah, I've shrunk it because the other, revenue lines have replaced what I've needed from my team. And like I said, I don't enjoy pushing people up a hill. I love the agents that come in locally and say, Matt, what do I do to master expires? Okay, here's the system. And then they go do it and say, okay, what else do I need to do?
So kudos to you because the event truly was fantastic. Like for a small event, you probably had 75, 100 agents type idea. But it was run like a conference event. Like you had an MC, you obviously, were directing the whole thing. You had the DJ, you were the MC. You had great speakers again, really handsome guy out of Philadelphia, you had great speakers, high quality, and it ran smooth.
Yeah.
And so like you put on a really high quality event. How much you also had sponsors? I think you had 2 or 3 sponsors there. Do your sponsors pay for the whole event and you're out very little money?
Try to get most of it, covered. I can in my market. Other markets, it might cost
trickier.
me, I'll go up and some of my other partners that are bigger names in their markets, I'll kind of help them do events.
Okay.
And I'll kind of at theirs, I'll speak more because, I've done so many in my market where a lot of people have heard me and what I can cover. So that's where
do you think you'll do like 4 events a year? Like,
so I'd say 4 times a year. And then I try to string them together. Like if I'm doing one and it's guaranteed there's going to be one in my market, I can do Philly. I can do, we were setting one up in Baltimore, Freehold. Yep. I can go to Bergen County. I can go to New York. We did a big one in New York. So anywhere where I can, if somebody wants to run an event, I tell them just reach out to me. We'll look at what it looks like. I'll give you kind of the roadmap. And we just want to see 75 to 100 people in the room.
Why do you string them together? Because for me, it feels like it makes it way more stressful and complicated, but does it make it easier because you can get the same speakers and stuff like that? Yeah. Is that what you found?
I just find it easier if I'm going to do one event, we might as well set up 3 with the same branding, just in different markets, all drivable,
So all that makes sense. All your marketing collaterals just replicated, change the name and location, but it's just replicate. Okay. That makes a lot of sense because it's just, I'm trying to find out like, what else are you doing to get 900 in your downline? Well, now you are a beast yourself, right? I mean, just personally, I've talked to you a little bit offline and stuff. And just like, I mean, obviously you're an assassin at what you do. So that helps and probably is the real secret sauce. But I'm trying to understand, is there anything else but event?
Did you hire somebody or do something? Yeah.
Say it again.
Did you hire like a recruiter? Like when you're building something, did you hire someone like maybe to take your place or to do something for you or anything that level? It's just you?
No, just me. I mean, look, I got started in 2001, right? And I got into coaching pretty quickly. And that's where, and I went to a ton of conferences, every year. I want to say I probably attended out of 17 years with ReMax, at least maybe 14 of the conferences.
Wow.
Annually. So I had a big, and I was just selling 120 homes locally. And I often tell a story at my events where I started getting good at real estate and my broker had to check me, right? Because I was 23, 24. And he's like, hey, you're doing good, but you're getting a little cocky. And I said, okay. I said, what do you mean? And he gave me 2 examples. Right. And he said, you can be known like this agent who does 100 homes. And you call, you get voicemail only. Don't, this is back before texting was a big thing, but like email me only, we'll get back to you or my assistant will. And then you got this other guy who everybody wants to work with him, sells 100 homes, doesn't know how he's doing it, but he's just the guy you want to be on the phone with, and he'll talk to anybody. And I was like, oh, you're right. That's how I want to be. Right. And that's helped locally. Like locally, I think we're over 100 agents like out of my office.
That is incredible, man.
And that's because like I had a call yesterday, and one of the agents that's out of my office called. She was like, thank you for picking up on the first ring. I'm actually here with an agent that I want you to meet. Do you have time later today? I was like, I can fit it between 2 and 2:30 if you guys want to come in. And then she comes in. She's like, that helps them. She's like, see, Matt's available. If I had a question on a deal, Matt's here. So it's kind of
responsiveness is such a elevator. I'm realizing in the industry, as people just do not respond in a timely manner. They're not available. And it's okay. It's not like it's wrong to take a day to respond, but you've lost all advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like, Luke, it's like that Steve Jobs quote, where you're talking about managers. I think you sent me that video, or Steve sent me, Uncle Steve sent it. But he was like, the best managers are the ones that don't want to be managers, right? That just the results. And that's what I'm hearing is like, you're just a badass person, and you give back to the community. You work hard. You've done it before. You're not in it for this fluff. Like, you don't get revenue share if you don't produce, right? It's just as simple as that. So you first have to produce, and you actually have to get people into production as well if you want to receive the revenue share on the back end. And so that's what I just keep hearing is like, people want to get themselves out of the business. We were just on that podcast before this, and it's like, don't jump out, so fast. You're never going to get to the point where you're just retired and you don't get to give back into your team and work hard, right? It's never just going to be just this passive income completely. But that's what I'm hearing from you.
That's the beauty. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because people think they're building these huge networks, but your front line will disappear and you won't get any revenue share. Right? Why? Because your front line might be like, they checked out. I'm not really with them anymore, whatever. But, you go, depending on which model you're in, like, 40 will go away real quick. 25 can drop quick to where you're losing level by level by level. So it's pretty smart for these companies to have it set up that way. And I'm still in production. I'm still selling, 2-3 homes a month. And I tell all my agents that want to recruit, like, be a very good co-op. Help people in this industry. If you don't have a goal to build a team, that's okay. If you want to build a team, you might build a little bit of a bigger network a little bit quicker, but you just got to be nice in the community of real estate, and people will want to be around you.
Yeah. Does the revenue share model, like the 900 agents, does it look like the real estate industry where 10% are actually doing, 90% of the business, for rev share purposes?
So I don't track that. What I've tracked, and this goes with multiple companies, is, anywhere, if you have 100 people, I've asked friends at all these different companies, how many paychecks are you looking at a month, right? No matter where it falls, levels 1 through 5, 7, 20, it doesn't, like, you can go, believe it or not, with our model, it's crazy. People think it's stuck at 5, but if I co-sponsor somebody at level 5, now I'm 10 levels deep, right? If that makes sense. So wherever that level falls, you don't know. But out of 100 people, what I'm hearing is anywhere from 25 to 35% will produce a deal. Yes, one person can do 3, someone can do 0. But what that means is if I got 100 people in my network, I can count 25 to 35 checks. The check size will depend on the size that, the price of the house, where they fall in your network. So that's kind of a gauge. So if you're super heavy at our model, we pay the highest on levels 1, 2, and 3. So luckily that's where, my community lives, a lot of it, because, I've recruited a lot locally, which has expanded. But, at the end of the day, that's where, and I've checked other companies and we're all seeing the same thing. So 1,000 people in your network, you're probably going to get 300 paychecks, whether it's level 5, which is a small paycheck, or level 1, 2, 3, or 7, depending on the brand, will determine how much it generates.
Nice.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. It's so interesting just hearing you talk, because it feels like, why isn't everybody building a downline? Like, this seems like it's a no-brainer. What's the big mistake you see, Matt, most people trying to build downlines do?
Throw up, rev share is big, that people just throw up at each other. You're going to be rich on rev share. Well, numbers are out now. It's been 5 years since one company took it and crushed with it. And the truth is, less than 20% of the company actually gets $1 in it. So not everybody's going to. I had somebody in another state joined, big hopes, huge producers, just not well perceived in the market. And I could tell when I went out and did an event in their area, I was like, okay, it seems like it's just your team and a couple people. Like, how well are you liked in this market?
Yeah.
So some people think they're liked because they're doing a bunch of business, but they may not be, and people don't want to be around them. So again, it goes back to being a good person in your marketplace.
That's
because
such
I
a
believe
great
that's
takeaway.
where, that's where you're going to be attracting a good amount of talent. And if you are a national coach, that's different, right?
Yeah.
If you have a big coaching company and you're providing value to all these teams and individuals across the country, different opportunity.
Yeah, that's what Tim and Julie Harris did. Is they did that with EXP. They took their coaching company. I don't know if you knew Tim and Julie Harris.
I know the names. I don't know their coaching company, but
they had
every
they
big
had
coach
a big
over
coaching company for a long time, and then they were always real estate agents as well. And then they went to EXP, I think, and he recruited a massive downline through EXP. I mean, kudos to him and doing that. This has been really good. It really makes me think, a huge takeaway even for my own business with Reminder Media, and because I see the mistakes that we've made over the years. And it really plays into this idea of, it's like, you have to have this long-term thinking and a drive that is more values-based and long-term than it is short-term, which is really, really difficult when you are trying to pay the bills, because paying the bills is short term, right? You got to pay that electric bill at the end of the month. And that's where a lot of people find themselves. And when you have to pay the bills, what do you tend to sacrifice? You tend to sacrifice values. You tend to compromise on, standards, things like that. Yep. Take shortcuts. And I just look at our company and go, man, 5 years has come and gone like nothing since we went virtual. Like, just blink of an eye since we went virtual. And I go, why did we take such shortcuts in some of the team building and culture building? Because it's a slow fade. And so that means it's a slow growth back in things like culture and leadership. Like, I think right now it's resonating on my mind is just the investment of leaders, because I'm taking our team through 21 irrefutable laws of leadership with John Maxwell. And just realizing that you cannot quick bake, you cannot microwave a leader. You just can't. They have to be slow cooked. There's a fine seasoning that goes on. And I think it's very similar to what you're saying about perceived in the marketplace. Is like, hey, it's a slow getting perceived negatively, and it's going to be a slow getting perceived positively. And you can't quick bake it. You can't just turn around magically, Stephen and Cody, and go, now everybody love us in Lynchburg. You have to put the work in, day in and day out.
Put in the work in, Luke. We're giving back.
You're slow cooked. I know. I'm going to have to call some agents in Lynchburg and go, what do you guys really think of these bums, Cody and Stephen? You know what I mean? All right. Let's go, Matt. Let's throw an event down in Lynchburg, Virginia, and see if how many people show up.
Yeah. I got a couple partners down there. We'll find out real quick.
That's great. I love it, man. This has been fantastic.
This is awesome, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on today. And before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you.
Instagram, is probably the fastest way to find me, MJ Curcio 7. So, and then my name will probably pop up in the feed. So happy to help agents, and everybody's welcome in my world.
Love it. Thank you. We'll include a link to your Instagram in the show notes of this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. You can get those show notes, the videos, and any other resources that you need over at staypaidpodcast.com. If you enjoy this episode and want to show your support, go to YouTube, youtube.com/remindermedia. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram as well. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Josh Dyke.
Guys, I'm Luke Avery. Matt, thank you so much for for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. It's been awesome getting to know you and looking forward to getting to know you even more and doing more events together. I'm just throwing that out there, shameless plug. If you need a speaker,
you need
Matt,
a
that's
good speaker,
okay looking in Philly, no. But guys, if you're local, Philly area, Jersey, all that stuff, please check Matt out. I was super impressed. And I've done, last year we did 60 something trade shows with Reminder Media, and I was super impressed with what he put on, the value that he put on. It was pretty impressive. And so I think you guys would benefit by going to his events, or I know you would. And then, if you're thinking about recruiting a downline, or if you're thinking about how do I improve in business, which we all are, your action item from this podcast is so powerful, which is how are you perceived in the marketplace with your peers? How are you perceived in the marketplace with your peers? And can you answer that? And I would challenge you, maybe call a couple of people this week and ask them that question. How do they perceive you? How do they think you're perceived by other agents in the marketplace? Because your brand is what others say about you when you're not there. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every industry is top producers take action. Take action on that today.